Hello, everybody, and welcome to our webinar, The Science of Reading, Phonics, and Decodables. Before we begin, I'd like to go over some technical details. Today's slide presentation and title list were included in the reminder email you received from Zoom 1 hour ago. To download them, please open that email, scroll to the bottom, and click on the links located there. You can also download the slides and title list by typing the URL on this screen into your web browser. If you have any trouble, please contact us at webinars@booklistonline.com. The audience is in listen-only mode, but we welcome any questions you may have. On the bottom of your screen is a toolbar with a section for Q&A. If you have a question or need technical assistance, simply click Q&A and type your message into the box that appears. We will do our best to respond to all tech-related questions, and we'll pass along all other questions to today's panelists so they can follow up with you after the webinar. Booklist offers closed captioning on all webinars. To enable or disable captions on your screen, please look for and click the live transcript icon on the toolbar mentioned earlier. From there, you can select show or hide subtitles from the menu that appears. If you choose to enable subtitles, you can adjust the size of the captions at any time by selecting Caption Settings. And finally, Booklist expects all participants to maintain an atmosphere of respect and fairness. Anyone who violates this standard of behavior, including engaging in any form of harassment, may, at the discretion of the organizers, be immediately removed. Today, we have the pleasure of hearing from Maureen McMullen, Marketing Specialist at Bearport Publishing and Jump Library, Kristen Pozzoli, Assistant Director, Education Library Marketing at DK, Amanda Gebhardt, Editorial Director at Cherry Lake Publishing Group, and Jocelyn Edwards, Marketing Manager at Norwood House and imprint of Rosen Publishing. First up, we'll kick things off with Maureen McMullen. As a marketing specialist for Bearport Publishing and Jump Library, Maureen loves introducing librarians and educators to their readers' next favorite books and learning new things with each season of books. She's based out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, and enjoys riding bikes, crocheting, and camping. Thanks for being here, Maureen. The floor is yours.
Thanks so much, Grace. Again, I'm Maureen. I am a marketing specialist with Bearport and Jump, and I am so excited to tell you all about our collections of decodable books. So on the next slide, we will see Supersonic Phonics from Bearport and Decodables by Jump. So then on the next slide, we will take a look at Supersonic Phonics from Bearport. So this is a collection of 166 fiction titles spanning 13 levels for grades pre-K through 4. Next. So these fictional stories are super fun, high interest, and sometimes even a little wacky. So for example, we have The Elf with Ear Hair, where Tella the elf learns to love her unusually plentiful ear hair. And we also have Power of the Grannies, where Doyle's grandma teams up with her old crew of other granny bikers to stand up to a developer who's trying to demolish their local park. I think that's probably one of my favorites from this collection. And then on the next slide, we have Decodables by Jump, which are 115 nonfiction titles across 12 levels for pre-K through 4th grade. Next. So these books have real-life photos that really engage readers who are curious about the world around them. Next. And we created these two collections to work together using a systematic approach. Both of them are introducing simple concepts and gradually build up word and sentence structure complexity. We know that engaging content can be kind of hard to find in decodable books because authors have to work within certain parameters of vocabulary, spelling patterns, age appropriateness, and that can make them really hard to make. However, we kept hearing about the need for decodable books, and we really wanted to make a high quality product in this genre that readers really wanted to pick up and look through. Another cool feature about this content is that it's often A nonfiction jump title will have a complementary supersonic phonics title. This is more common in some of the lower level brands, but they'll have a similar topic. It's not as common in the upper levels, but we do have a lot of nonfiction jump books that do correlate with typical curricular standards. So the next slide shows the first level color band lilac for grades pre-K through kindergarten. And as you can see, these are wordless books, and they focus on listening and repetition skills, and then linking sounds and letters. Each lilac title actually includes 2 stories per book. And then on the next slide, we'll switch to jump decodables for the lilac band. These are also wordless, but they use photos instead of illustrations, and they are also a flip book format, so 2 stories per book. Next. This is level 1, pink, very similar to lilac. It has a flip book format, but it does introduce simple letter sound combinations. Next. And then here's the jump decodable pink level. You'll see a supersonic phonics cover right in there, Tub of Bugs, next to our nonfiction Bugs book as kind of an example of how some of the fiction content relates to the nonfiction content in the same level. And next. Here on the next level, kids begin blending simple vowel consonant combinations. And on the next slide, we have the jump books, and you can see there the activity pages that help kids review some of the skills they learned. Next slide, on to level 3, yellow. So in yellow, we start to have more phoneme combinations and blending new words, but we still have these engaging illustrations, funny stories, and then progressively harder text with each level color band. And then on the next slide, we have the yellow jump books, and like supersonic phonics, they're meant for kindergarten through 1st grade, but they might be helpful for kids in a couple of grades older too. Next. We are at level 4, blue, knocking on 2nd grade's door. There's a lot of reinforcement here of some of the skills we learned in earlier levels, as well as introductions of 2-letter phonemes. The text difficulty is gradually increasing, and that allows for the stories to be even more engaging and funny for readers. On the next slide, here's another example of the correlation between fiction and nonfiction titles. We have At the Fun Fair and the Not So Fun Fair. We also have an option where you can find books from the same level that focus on the same phoneme as well, in both fiction and nonfiction. Next. Blue-green is a level that is available only in fiction, and we developed this level of books because we know that students can really use all the practice they can get for these skills, and these books just offer them extra opportunities to kind of fine-tune some of those skills they learn. Next. We have level 5, green, from Supersonic Phonics. This is for grades 1 through 2. We have 10 fictional titles that are 32 pages long, and these introduce graphemes and alternative pronunciations, as well as alternative spelling for known phonemes such as the I sound. On the next page, we have our jump titles from this level. We have 4 titles that are 16 pages long. Next. Level 6, orange, for grades 2 through 3. We have 10 fictional titles that are 32 pages long. Again, these introduce graphemes and alternative pronunciations, as well as alternative spellings. Next, we have the jump books. We have 4 titles that are 6 pages long for level 6, orange. Next, we have level 7, turquoise. We have 10 fictional titles, 32 pages long. Next, we have our level 7 turquoise jump books. Again, they are 4 titles that are 16 pages long. And next, level 8, purple. We have 16 fictional titles, 32 pages long. And then next, from Decodables by Jump, we have 4 titles, again, 16 pages long. And then on the next slide, we start getting into some of the upper levels. So level 9, gold, is for grade 3. We have 16 fictional titles that are 32 pages long, and these are going to help children build increasing reading fluency and then also practice some letter sound combinations. So on the next slide, we will see we have 4 titles in this level from Jump. And again, building their reading fluency with each of these books. Next, we have level 10 white for supersonic phonics for grades 3 through 4. We have 10 fictional titles, and these are a little longer. They are 40 pages long. On the next slide, we have our white titles from Jump for grades 3 through 4. 4 titles, 16 pages long. Next, level 11 Lime. So these upper level books give kind of a nice mix of genres and fun, high interest stories. So for example, in The Shed, it's kind of a mildly spooky story with a surprise ending we think readers will love. This Story Has Gone Wrong is an interactive book that requires readers to jump from page to page according to the main character's instructions. So kind of similar to a choose your own adventure book. And then My Brother is a Zombie has definite kid appeal, especially for kids who maybe have teenage older siblings. And then on the next page, we have our upper level Decodables books, which have photo labels and a lot more complex text to help readers build their fluency. Next. So these collections come with plenty of support materials, including decodability and phonics skills charts. So one of those is very detailed and the other is more condensed. But we have lexiles for all of these books, as well as our own color band charts, support within the books, as well as decodable teacher resources. And we do have correlations for Hegarty, Foundations, and Orton Gillingham. Next. So we have reports available for all supersonic phonics and decodable books that give you a good idea of which words and sounds are in each book, the ways books use specific spelling patterns, the percentage of multisyllabic versus single syllable words. And these are very detailed and give lots of information. I'm happy to share these with you after the presentation if you're interested. And on the next page, we talk about our skills chart for both supersonic phonics and decodables. So this is kind of a condensed version of the lengthier chart we talked about on the last slide, and it gives you key data like page count, GRL, lexile, phonemes, high frequency word, as well as title descriptions. And then on the next page, we have our color band charts for both collections that we kind of developed. You can see they're very similar, with the exception that supersonic phonics has that extra level between green and blue. And these can be really helpful to find books that match a student's specific reading level. Next, we have, there are lots of features in every book that support learning and instruction, including teaching tips before, during, and after reading, comprehension questions, and then QR codes in the back of the books that link to downloadable resources. And we will talk about those in just a second. So next. So here are those downloadable resources with each book. They include questions and activities that help reinforce what kids learn. We try to include a lot of multisensory activities like letter tracing, just to keep kids really engaged in the skills they're practicing. So next, here are some examples of activities from levels 0 through 5. These downloads will come out in black and white just to preserve the image quality. And then on the next slide, we can see the lower level examples for Jump's downloadable resources. And these will vary in difficulty. Some skills practice, some are writing prompts, and then again, multisensory activities like letter tracing. Next. Oh, I'm sorry, could you go forward a couple slides? Okay, and then here are examples from the upper color bands. So these are for levels 6 through 7. Again, they will vary in difficulty, and there is some skills practice, and some are just extensions, which prompt kids to write extensions to the text they just read. Next. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to learn about our Decodables collections. If you have any questions about what we went over today, or if you'd like to order anything, please reach out to our customer service team at the addresses on our screen, and they will be happy to help you. All right, take care.
Thank you so much, Maureen. And now we'll be joined by Kristen Pizzoli. Kristen is Assistant Director, Education and Library Marketing for the U.S. arm of DK and is based in the New York office. She has been with the company for nearly 10 years now and has worked on promoting all of DK's books, from board books to chapter books to coffee table books and travel books, all in that time. As a certified librarian herself, she's excited to have settled into a role that allows her to use her knowledge of this very special audience day in and day out. Take it away, Kristen.
Thank you so much, Grace. And hi, everyone. Thanks for that great introduction. I'm so excited to be able to talk to you about our Phonic Books offerings today. Phonic Books, now part of DK, was founded by 3 educators who were working in London teaching literacy and phonics, and together realized their students lacked engaging, decodable reading materials. They took it upon themselves to create something new, and thus Phonic Books, a specialist publisher of truly decodable books, and I want to emphasize that truly, was born. At DK, in the last couple of years, we have continued to work with the founders on a range of new fiction and nonfiction decodable books for beginner and older struggling readers. It's difficult to capture everything we have on offer under this umbrella in this limited time frame, but I'll do my best to give you a broad overview. Phonic Books focuses on truly decodable books and accompanying photocopyable but not consumable activity books for readers ages 4 to 14 plus in 2 general segments. For children ages 4 to 7, or generally grades pre-K to 2, who are beginning to read on target, and for children ages 8 to 14 plus, or grades 3 and beyond, who are behind and struggling to learn to read. For those ages 4 to 7, we do currently have both fiction and nonfiction offerings, and our offerings in the 8 to 14 plus segment are fiction, high-low fantasy, and realistic stories that engage and won't cause embarrassment by the reader. These catch-ups, as we call them, are among our most popular, as they are truly a unique offering within the marketplace. Which is a perfect segue into this next slide. How are Phonic Books different from the competition? Phonic Books are truly decodable books. I feel like a broken record, but it's important to emphasize. They're designed for those beginning to read, and as such, are carefully written stories and text using only the letter sounds students have been taught. They provide students with the opportunity to practice decoding skills with the phonics they have learned up until that point. It is a scaffolded, systematic approach aligned with the science of reading that we use for our Phonic books. They start with the intro of the alphabet, not at the consonant-vowel-consonant level. They can supplement any phonics program. We have scope and sequence documents available, and I will have a QR code come up to our pamphlet a little later in the slides where you can download all of those documents. We have multiple sets covering the same sounds at both the introductory reader and catch-up reader levels. As I mentioned, we have catch-up reader series for struggling readers, which is unique. And we have a reproducible activity book for each reader's series. Reproducible, not consumable. We have fiction and nonfiction offerings, and the nonfiction titles have knowledge builder spreads to help with vocabulary building and cultural capital. You'll see an example of a couple of these in a few slides. And our books use dyslexia-friendly fonts and text backgrounds. We've also heard from educators time and time again that our illustrations are another characteristic that make Phonic Books stand out from the competition. I'd be remiss not to mention that, and you'll see some example of those as well of these interiors in the subsequent slides. So let's dive a bit deeper into our offerings by age group and then series within that particular group. First up, within the 4 to 7 beginner reader age range, we have Dandelion Launchers. a fiction book offering in which each book introduces only a few letters or sounds at a time, allowing independent reading from the onset. You can see an example page there. We currently have 5 reader sets and their accompanying activity books on offer within this series. Next up, we have Dandelion World, which follows the same scope and sequence as Dandelion Launchers, but is the nonfiction series offering. Each book within each series set, more on that in just a moment, includes a nonfiction knowledge builder feature for children and adults to read together. This is a fun way to enhance vocabulary and deepen comprehension of the book's content, while also flexing that phonics skill and thus reading muscle. You can see 2 examples here. We currently have 3 reader sets and their accompanying activity books on offer within the Dandelion World series. Look out for more new publishing this fall. Our third main series within the age 4 to 7 range is Dandelion Readers. The main difference here against the other 2 series already mentioned is that there is more text on the page in these Dandelion Readers in order to increase readers' stamina. You can see that on the spread here compared to, say, the Dandelion Launchers a couple of slides back as a reminder. We currently have 10 reader sets, currently all fiction titles, and their accompanying activity books on offer in this Dandelion Readers series. And then we have multiple series for struggling readers ages 8 to 14 plus. These are high-low decodables with adventure and fantasy stories. The stories cover a range of phonics skills and have varying word counts, from fewer than 60 words per book in our popular Moondog series, all the way up to 3,000 words in our Amber Guardian series. As I've mentioned before, these are our most popular and unique offering. As children continue to struggle from the learning loss left behind by the pandemic, these catch-ups in particular are a much needed and appreciated tool in schools and libraries across the country. Each of these catch-up series also has an accompanying activity book, photocopyable but not consumable in and of itself, so a great library resource for educators. To see all of our offerings in greater detail and view specific scope and sequence information for them, you can visit phonicbooks.com and download our catalog via the prompt on the top of the homepage, or there will be a QR code that links directly to it nearer to the end of this presentation. So now is a good time to launch into how our phonic books are traditionally offered in the marketplace. Our reader series offerings come in shrink-wrapped packs of 12, 14, or even 16 books that have a pack ISBN and not individual book ISBNs. This can be a roadblock to cataloging them and thus having them in the library, but it hasn't stopped some librarians who see the pressing need for and superior quality of phonic books. However, in an attempt to remedy that roadblock, we've chosen 3 of our top beginner reader sets, 2 sets of Dandelion Launchers, and 1 set of Dandelion Readers, and 3 of our most popular catch-up reader sets, which you'll see in a few slides as well. These are hardcover bound sets that take the cataloging issue out of the equation for the library, and there's no need to worry about them getting lost on the shelf or keeping them organized in bins and the like. Dandelion Launchers, stages 1 through 7, focuses on sounds of the alphabet and CVC, or consonant, vowel, consonant, word structure. Dandelion Launchers, stages 8 to 15, focuses on consonant blends and digraphs. And the Dandelion Readers Vowel Spellings Level 2 offering focuses on exactly that. Vowel spellings with 2 to 3 spellings for each vowel sound. Now that we've gotten more into the details of the phonics skills covered, it's important to take time to make obvious that phonic books is systematic, scaffolded learning of phonic skills, often with 2 or 3 books in each set covering the same skills before the skills build in the subsequent books of that particular set, but always including skills from the previous books in the set. I hope this is clear. I know we have limited time, but my best advice to better capture all this detail is to download that catalog. Here you can see a couple of spreads, one from a Dandelion Launcher Library Edition and one from a Dandelion Reader Library Edition. You can clearly see the increase in word count from the Launcher on the left to the Reader on the right to help build reading stamina. And these are the activity books that go along with each of the hardcover bound Dandelion Reader sets you've seen. These are photocopyable, but not intended to be consumable themselves. And here you can see a sample interior from one of those activity books. And here are our special library offerings on the catch-up reader side of things. These are the high-low adventure and fantasy story sets that truly set us apart. Magic Belt covers CVC, CVCC, consonant blends and digraphs, and some simple suffixes, for example, ed and ing, with 300 words in each of the 12 books included in this one hardcover book bind-up. In it, main character Zach is 10 years old. He lives with his grandpa. One day, Grandpa gets very sick. When Zach goes to seek help, he meets a wizard. Strangely, the wizard already knows that Zach's grandpa is sick. He offers to cure his grandpa, and in return, Zach must go on a quest. He must find 10 magic gems. He sets off with his friend. Will they ever find the magic gems? Will they find them in time to save Grandpa? That Dog covers the same scope and sequence or phonics skills as Magic Belt, but this is a real world story rather than a fantasy. In it, we meet again character Zach. He's 10 years old. He lives with his grandpa, and one day Grandpa gets very sick. When Zach goes to seek help, he meets a wizard, and strangely, oh, I'm sorry. I think I copied that. Oh, this is That Dog. So this is about a boy who wants a dog, and his mother says, no, you can't have that dog, but he brings it in and tries to hide it. And so it's just the adventure that ensues. It is real world, of course. Apologies for that. I must have double copied and pasted on my script by mistake. And then Totem, all the way there on the right, covers CVC through to CCV, CC words, consonant blends, digraphs, adjacent consonants, and alternative simple two-syllable words and suffixes ending in ed and ing, as well as alternative vowel spellings with 300 words in each of the 12 books included in this one hardcover book bind-up. So we meet Zach again in that book, and in this book, he must take the sheep up to the hills to graze, but he's bored with his job. He dreams of adventure, and one day he takes his shepherd's staff and his pet kid into the hills with his flock as usual. But two men kidnap him, and his adventures begin. Along the way, his staff acquires special powers. He makes a new friend, and together they face great danger. How will they survive? Will he ever see his grandpa again? And here are a couple of interior examples, the one on the left from That Dog and the one on the right from Totem, and the activity books that go with each of these three sets, and example interiors. And lastly, I just, in the phonic books world, I just wanted to mention this fantastic brand new set of 6 phonic books card games that offer practice and consolidation of phonic skills for beginner readers and would be a great programming tool. It has 6 sets of cards, 6 different games, and it's sure to be a hit in the library. It covers everything from CVC words in Card Game Box 1, all the way to VCE, or vowel consonant silent E spellings, and word building in Card Game Boxes 5 and 6, respectively. As previously mentioned, here's that QR code to the catalog. So we'll just pause here for a second so maybe you can get that. But again, as a reminder, you can also access it on phonicbooks.com via the prompt on the top right of the homepage to download the catalog. We're going to quickly just switch gears a little now, though still stay within the realm of decodables, to discuss our brand new Science of Reading-based Super Phonics series of decodable books and other materials intended for use at home between caregiver and child to reinforce what they've learned in school. As you can tell from these sneak peek graphics, these offerings are truly adorable. First up is our Super Phonics card game intended for beginner readers in pre-K or kindergarten. This game only includes CVC words. It is another Uno-style card game with 42 phonics cards, 8 action cards, and instructions and content cards, for a total of 52 cards in the pack. And these are the first two in a series of the box decodable 8-book sets within this series. Pet Shop Panda and Haircut Hippos. Later in the year will come Fix-It Foxes and Deli Dogs. Truly too cute. Also developed in tandem with education experts, these sets introduce the target sounds in small stages, allowing independent reading from the outset. A parent guide is included with each box set, and it includes tips and activity ideas. These two sets you see here will be available in August and September. And finally, thank you for your time. Here's just a quick reminder to follow both Phonic Books and DK Learning on social media to receive all the latest news and offerings, free downloads, information about sweepstakes, and so much more. Both the Phonic Books and DK Learning websites are packed with blog posts, lesson plans, and activity downloads that you can browse at your leisure too, so be sure to check them out. Thank you so much for your time and attention today, and for all you do for your community of young learners. I hope you'll add some brand new DK Decodables to your collection. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kristen. And our next presentation will come from Amanda Gebhardt. Amanda has been developing curriculum for 18 years. She began her career building ELA programs for struggling and reluctant readers and English language learners, specializing over time in phonics and foundational literacy. She went on to lead curriculum development projects for all levels of K-12 ELA and social studies, as well as in the development of both high and low stakes assessments. Amanda brings her decades of experience in classroom instruction and her lifelong love of learning to Cherry Lake Publishing Group's school and public library imprints, helping to leverage exceptional content into success for all students. Welcome, Amanda.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. So hi, everyone, and thank you so much for this opportunity to share with you all. I'm Amanda Gebhardt. I'm a lifelong writer and editor for school and library publishing with an MFA in nonfiction creative writing from Northwestern. I'm also the editorial director for Cherry Lake Publishing Group's school and library imprints, Cherry Blossom Press, Cherry Lake Press, 45th Parallel Press, and Torch Graphic Press, our graphic novel imprint. I work alongside the award-winning editors and designers of our trade imprints for Sleeping Bear Press and Tilbury House Publishers. While content-focused series nonfiction is most of my job, I get to bask in the beauty and joy of the picture books that they help authors and illustrators bring to life. And it's one of the great joys whenever I'm in the library to go and see all of our books that are on the shelf in every different kind of category. So I'm very lucky and kind of living the book lover's dream. And so libraries, both public and school, are at the heart of Cherry Lake. If this were another webinar, I might get to highlight for you all the books that exist on the shelves behind me solely because of librarians. Those that maintain large institutional libraries and those that maintain the public library in a small town in the middle of Montana, which is my favorite story to tell. You can send me an email if you ever want to know it. Needless to say, I'm so excited to be with you here today. So the first slide. I'm especially excited to talk to you about decodables and early literacy. Decodable texts and decodable stories are a fundamental part of phonics curriculum in the classroom. But what role do they have in your library? First, know that a decodable book is a book that a child can read independently from early in their literacy journey. Having decodable books on the shelves means that the earliest readers can pick them up and engage with them on their own, or that parents can pick them up and use them to support their children's reading growth in a structured way that builds confidence, both the child's and the parents'. These books also provide wonderful library literacy programming opportunities. Songs and rhymes can be sung, games can be played, and books explored as children focus on the letter, sound, or pattern of the day. Next slide, please. Now, what makes a book decodable? Would you believe me if I told you that War and Peace is decodable? It is for you and me. It's probably more decodable to a college Russian lit professor than to me, but they put more effort into it than I do. A book is decodable if the reader can decode it, if the reader can read it. Shakespeare is decodable, but often requires scaffolding and supports for high schoolers first encountering it, and requires additional vocabulary instruction and grammar instruction, much like young readers when they first encounter the written language. In this way, decodable texts do not exist in a vacuum. Their decodability depends on the sound spellings that readers know, along with which high-frequency words and sight words necessary to form English sentences they have been taught. If a child learns long vowels first, then kite is decodable, while kit is not. So context matters, and sequence matters. Next slide, please. We measure decodability rigidly in our books. We count each and every high frequency or sight word. We count each and every decodable word. We divide the decodable words by the total words to get the decodability percentage. Note that there is not a magic number of what percent decodability is best. Common sense tells us that more decodable words are easy if students have the skills to have been taught those skills previously. Some states like California and Texas have legislated what that ratio should be with decodable texts in their phonics programs. One of those was 80% decodable words and 20% previously taught high-frequency words. This was deemed just right for skills building while still being able to make comprehensible sentences with words like the and The more decodable text is, the more awkward the language is. You'll often see that, and it's one of the things that turns people off of decodable books. But the less fluent it is, it can get clunky, but you can better guarantee fewer reading hurdles. So a kid that knows 100 high-frequency words by heart, the decodability percentage isn't going to be the same hindrance that it would be for a child who knows no high-frequency or high-utility words. Because the goal is reading independence with no one-on-one knowledge of the actual reader who will be reading the book, the assumptions you'll see us make and other publishers make work to minimize those potential reading hurdles. That's where we get to our approach. This on the next slide, please. We developed a phonics sequence based on input and advice from active and retired reading specialists. One, the true architect of our phonics kind of program that actually kicked it off the ground years before I got here is Cecilia Minden, the literacy consultant and retired former director of Harvard University School of Education's Language and Literacy program. She really kind of gave us our start and put us on the road. Our other top contributor is Elizabeth Scully, a student of Cecilia's and active and engaged current reading specialist for grades K-5 in New York State at this time. She is just not only one of our major contributors, but also really helped talk about how phonics and those skills are taught in her classroom and how she would best recommend aligning our own books as we get them. So we offer alignments to some of the most used phonics curriculums so that we know our books can be useful to the widest population of students learning in correlative sequences. So most will learn short vowels first and then long vowels. There's always those who, shake it up and do it a little bit differently, but we look at what are those basic assumptions to reach the widest audience and to present things that students can pick up independently. Besides skills, our books embrace the idea of literacy for both joy and the joy of learning. Beautiful books, rich illustrations, fun, narrative-driven plots that have a lovely arc, and curriculum-based content is all included in there. And one of the things, as you'll see, if you get ever a chance to look at some of our illustrated books, we have some of the some phenomenal children's book illustrators who illustrate these, and they're so detailed and so wonderful that they support a greater discussion with the student. What's going on, or with the reader? What's going on here? What do you see? What else is happening? What's in the background? What's the facial expression? So, and finally, a part of our approach is enough offerings to make student choice the center of their literacy journey. Do you want a book about a fun grandma and grandpa, or one about a cute fluffy dog? Children can choose. And isn't that the best part of libraries too? It's that choice, that independence, that wandering the aisles and picking which you want. The next slide will show you the sequence I mean. Each of our books across our Decodable series tie back to this sequence. And when I say we are strict with it, I mean it. Park may be a simple word that children may learn early, but long and short vowels and vowel sounds are almost universally taught first. So park, in our sequence, remains non-decodable. Does that mean we never use it? No, it is a great content word, but in our percentage, it is considered a sight word until it has been introduced explicitly. This means that many of our books are likely more decodable for an individual child than we guarantee. But it also means that you can be sure readers are not bombarded with frustration instead of feelings of success as they read. When we talk about short vowel books, you get that direct one-to-one correspondence that is almost entirely one sound for one letter, the easiest kind of way to begin learning to read. The next category is similar as you're blending those consonants together, and then we add in the digraphs, TH and CH, when letters with different sounds combine to make a new sound. Then the reliable patterns of silent E, and then things increase in complexity from there. And now about halfway through, I will finally make our marketing director proud and hush up long enough to show you our actual books. Next slide, please. Our longest running series, Little Blossom Stories, covers the full range of phonics skills in the categories you saw before. They are wildly popular, and I like to say we've been making these since before phonics was cool again. They are small paperback books that make great take-home literacy kits for parents or non-circulating literacy bins if paperback is not ideal for your space. Next slide, please. Other small decodable paperbacks include our science and math decodable books. Each includes an activity at the end that would make a great programming centerpiece. Each book in Little Math Stories and Little Science Stories is based on a grade K or grade 1 science or math curriculum standard. So these aren't just fun and cute, which they very much are, but help build literacy in science and math from the earliest steps of their literacy journey. We have a wonderful review that we got last year on Little Math Stories about the fun that kids can have as they read through these and practice the math alongside with the people featured in the books. This next series starts off our strongest library decodable offerings. In Bloom is a 24-page decodable book with chapters. It's perfect for early literacy collections. They have the same skills as the Little Blossom Stories, but with slightly older kids and a big kid book feel. One of those real book feels that lets young readers feel grown up and slightly older readers just learning phonics skills to feel like they're not stuck with baby books. So these come in paperback and library binding. So next slide. Each of our Little Blossom books, as well as our In Bloom books, come with these word lists in the back. So you can see the skills right on the page. Teachers can use them, librarians can use them, parents can use them to help students kind of pre-soak or pre-teach some of those sight words that are in there to double check that there's nothing too difficult, to get a clean look at what that story is going to be as they go in. So these end all of those. Next slide, please. So here we start getting into our unique offerings. This one, Code Breakers, we are beyond excited about. We set out to prove that language is so versatile that decodable texts are not just relegated to nonsense sentences or small paperback kids books or short little features. They can hold real and wonderful adventures. So in this one, this series brings an action-packed adventure to decodable text. As readers advance through the series, the phonics skills increase in complexity, providing foundational skills practice with a page-turning mystery. So these characters are Max, Liz, and Chen, and readers can follow them on a series-long mystery to uncover what is going on in that school and why won't any of the adults own up to it. So it's a lot of fun, and at each of these, we do guarantee an 80% decodability based on our based on our sequence, we also have include dyslexic-friendly font. Same as with In Bloom. That's something I should have pointed out before. As soon as we get those higher readers, we know that it's more than just phonics skills that can hold people back. So we make sure that our books are as accessible as possible. We also have, in this particular book, Max, we find out later, I think around book 4, that Max has dyslexia as well. And we only find that out after we learned that their art teacher has dyslexia. She's one of the school's beloved teachers, and that is one thing that we have these characters. It's not central to the plot, but it is there. And their skills, especially Max's skills, his creativity, his visual processing, they're things that are real world experiences, as supported by one of our dyslexic content reviewers and sensitivity reviewers. So we were really proud of that. Next slide, please. Each of these books starts off with the code camp. This makes it great for independent reading, for reading tutors, for any sort of instruction that's done outside of a classroom, so parents can take it and can help to support those skills. You can also see a more accelerated sequence. This is so that older kids can infer a lot more from books and from language as they're picking it up, have a larger verbal vocabulary, so they move quicker through the sequence. So this allows them to accelerate that. And so if we have the next slide. So we leave our fiction, and with my last remaining time, I'm going to talk through our two, kind of the next step of Decodables. These aren't just fiction. We're looking at solid curriculum for students who are really struggling, who are really behind, but still are going to be held accountable by teachers, and teachers held accountable, and communities for students to learn these content skills and these content curriculum standards. So we get frameworks of geography at 70% decodable. These are a partnership we've done with World Book, and they've made sure that these topics that are, tested in schools, in topics and learning about climates and biomes, these nonfiction topics are presented in a fun graphic novel with decodable text, with dyslexic-friendly font, on-page pronunciation guides, so that the same exact content becomes accessible and open to readers of various skill levels. Next slide, please. And last but not least, in our 45th Parallel Press, we have our Weird Space Science, the breakdown. And in the breakdown, we have on-page supports, we have decodable strategies, building vocabulary, making connections, really taking a teacher who may not be able to sit down with a child to get them through the book, and giving them that kind of breakdown as they go through it. So they get the same content, the same skills as those who are otherwise at their same age group, but in a way and in a format that is much more broken down for them. And last slide, please. And then we have our, these are some of the parts in there. They start with some educational front matter. They end with kind of main ideas and details presented, so students kind of can preview, read through it, and then at the end, review. Then you can see another page from the inside of these books. We just love them. So here we have downloadable guides. We have descriptions of us and the science of reading. We have just so many things. And if you go to that final slide that we have, you can always reach out if you have any questions. You can also go to our website and contact our customer service. They are some of the most responsive people I have ever met, and they make sure that no matter how busy we are, you get your questions answered and you get what you need. So thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited that the world of Decodables is opening up for everybody. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Our final presentation today will come from Jocelyn Edwards. Jocelyn is the marketing manager for Rosen Publishing Group. She started her publishing career 13 years ago at Penguin Random House, and while she enjoyed working in all aspects of publishing, children's books have always had a special place in her heart. She graduated from Rutgers University with a degree in journalism. Thanks for being here, Jocelyn. The floor is yours.
Hi, Grace. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much. I'm very excited to present our Decodable Text program to you today. I'm going to try to be as quick as possible, so I might talk really fast, but I'll start by walking you through the different sets within the Decodable series, followed by a quick overview of one of our free structured phonics lesson plans. Our decodable text program features 72 titles broken into 8 unique sets, which incorporate the research and findings of the science of reading. The sets are specific to grade levels and spelling patterns, which enhance language comprehension and word recognition. A corresponding teacher's guide is available for each title to help reinforce decodable text concepts and patterns both in the classroom and at home. Titles include a combination of illustrations, photos, or both in fiction or nonfiction. All 72 titles feature sequence texts that are at least 80% decodable and are available in hardcover, paperback, and ebook formats. The first 6 sets have been reviewed and approved by the Reading League. So this is a look at one of our full covers. The back cover will feature the series and subseries name and descriptions. All front covers will show the specific phonics focus and the book number for easy reference. And additionally, the back cover will provide a breakdown of titles within the series, the order in which the books should be read, and the phonics focuses that will be taught in each title. We know that for decodable titles in particular, it's important to read each book in a specific order to help build spelling patterns and word recognition. So we wanted to make it easy for educators and caregivers to have a reference. A QR code and URL provides a link to teacher's guides for each book and a listing of all books in the Decodable series by series, number, and focus. Interior layouts feature simple text along with illustrations or photos. Our literacy consultant, Emily Nuds, has authored the scope and sequence of this series and the accompanying teacher's guides. Emily is a literacy coach and is certified to provide ongoing professional development in the science of reading. She holds a master's degree in literacy and is certified in childhood education, special education, and literacy education, and has taught 1st through 4th grades. She specializes in reading and writing instruction in the primary grades and identification and intervention of struggling readers. She's written a letter to caregivers like this one, which is featured in the front of each book. So let's get into the sets. Set 1 is our Search for Sound set, which feature our first wordless books and provide an introduction to letter sounds for kindergartners. In this set, students will be introduced to all consonants and vowels that make up our alphabet. They will engage with the text by listening to the story guides read aloud, listening for words with target sounds in them, and identifying the picture of the word that makes the target sound. This set has 8 books at 16 pages and features nonfiction concepts with illustrated pictures. In the back of each Search for Sounds book, we've included story guides for educators and caregivers to reference as they work their way through the pages, searching for words with the focus sound. And these story guides are included in the teacher's guides. So here you can see how the story guide works together with the text. Educators and caregivers are asked to read each keyword and ask students to isolate the beginning sound before finding the corresponding picture in the illustration. They're also encouraged to find and point to the corresponding letter in the corner of the page. The goal of these wordless books is to support phonemic awareness and letter identification. Set 2 is our Friends and Family Fun set. These books are written for grades kindergarten through 1st. In this set, students will be introduced to all 5 short vowel sounds. They will begin reading consonant, vowel, consonant words, and as they continue to read through the set, they move towards reading consonant, vowel, consonant words containing consonant digraphs and the suffix S. This set has 12 books at 16 pages and features fiction titles with illustrated pictures. A word list is included in the back of all the books in sets 2 through 8, which contains focus sounds, high frequency words, and challenging words. With each set, the word list grows. Set 3 is the Things We Like to Do set. These books are written for 1st grade. In this set, students will be introduced to consonant blends, as well as suffixes, ing, and ed. They will read words containing 2- and 3-letter blends found at both the beginning and ending of words. This set has 8 books at 16 pages and features fiction stories with a mix of illustrations and photos. Set 4 is the Activities with Friends set. These books are written for 1st grade. In this set, students will be introduced to long vowel sounds spelled using a vowel consonant E spelling pattern. Students will increase their phonemic awareness skills, focusing mostly on the advanced phonemic awareness skill, phoneme manipulation. This set has 6 books at 16 pages and features fiction stories with illustrated pictures. Set 5 is the Discover Plants and Animals set. These books are written for 2nd grade. And in this set, students will be introduced to the many vowel teams of the English language, as well as the suffix Y. Students will strengthen their advanced phonemic awareness skills through phoneme manipulation tasks, but will remove all scaffolds. They will continue to strengthen their reading and spelling skills in multisyllabic words containing vowel teams, suffix Y, and all previously taught phonics skills. This set has 9 books, and we've upped the page count to 24 pages, and these are nonfiction with photos. What's exciting about this set is that it can also be used outside of a phonics or reading lesson as a science text. All of the books feature the word list, but they also have a table of contents, glossary, index, and fun facts. And again, while these books are informative science texts, they still very much follow a scope and sequence based on the science of reading. Set 6 is our Fables and Folktales set. These books are written for 2nd grade. In this set, students will learn about art-controlled vowels, diphthongs, and complicated vowel teams. They will continue to strengthen their phonemic awareness skills through blending, segmenting, and manipulating phonemes within words without the use of scaffolds. This set has 9 books at 24 pages, and they are all fiction with illustrated pictures. These books can also be used outside of a phonics lesson plan for just fun reading, since they are all retellings of classic fables and folktales. And they all include a glossary as well. This fall, we're releasing 2 new sets in our Decodable series called The Code Breakers. These sets are designed to support readers who have mastered basic decoding skills and are ready to move into the latter alphabetic and consolidated phase of reading. Through carefully selected words and high-interest topics, each book allows upper elementary readers the opportunity to focus on developing their skills in reading words containing long vowel sounds, prefixes, suffixes, and multisyllabic words through engaging age-appropriate texts. They're written for grades 2 through 4. And in this first set of 10 nonfiction Codebreakers books, readers will gain confidence in their fluency skills while learning about space science topics, such as the planets and stars. This is another set of books that, while they are 80% decodable, also contain science curriculum aligned content and offer a high interest approach to space science. This set of 10 fiction Codebreakers books follows a class of students presenting their science projects. Readers will follow Valerie through a crystal cave or Richard chasing a storm with his family while they develop their skills. While these books are fiction stories, they do contain real science concepts and can be used to develop reader curiosity with nature and the world around them. So how do we build automaticity with these books? By accessing the pathways necessary to learn to read through a structured phonics lesson plan. A really important part of creating this Decodable program was making sure that we included a structured phonics lesson plan to go along with it. I'm going to give you a look at the teacher guides Emily Nuds, our literacy consultant, created. So our structured phonics lesson plan contains these key components. All lessons follow a scope and sequence. We have also included many multisensory activities. Each lesson begins with a phonemic awareness warm-up. Phonemic awareness is the reader's ability to recognize that words are made up of individual sounds. Lessons implore direct instruction of the new concept. Although exploration is wonderful for kids at times, when we're teaching phonics, the new concept needs to be directly taught. The plans are designed to allow for gradual release of responsibility. In the teacher world, they call it the I do, we do, you do approach. It's also really important to have both decoding and encoding as part of your lesson. It's really important to have that time for application and connected text. This piece is so important because you need to be providing the students with appropriate and engaging decodable text to allow them to apply those individual skills they just learned. Our program offers just that. And then, of course, you want to make sure that you're reviewing skills that have been previously taught. So I'll just walk you quickly through a sample structured phonics lesson plan, introducing the digraph CH. And this is from our book, Check Goes to the Beach. Here's a look at the scope and sequence of our Decodables program. There is no one agreed upon scope and sequence for all phonics lessons. However, if they are aligned with the science of reading, they're very similar and they really move from a more basic level to a more complex level. The Decodables books in our series follow a systematic cumulative phonics scope and sequence aligned with the science of reading. The words within each text have been carefully selected to ensure that readers can rely on their decoding skills as they encounter new or unfamiliar words. As I mentioned, using a multisensory approach not only helps to engage your readers in the lessons, but it also helps to develop the visual word form area as you're building the neural pathways within the brain. So these materials are easily found in any home or classroom. Here we have felt, colored plastic chips, puff balls, and poppers, but you can use something as simple as pieces of paper. Each lesson starts with a phonemic awareness warm-up. As I mentioned, phonemic awareness is the reader's ability to recognize that words are made up of individual sounds. It's really important to prime the reader's brain before they learn a lesson so that they're ready to identify sounds and words in the lesson. The phonemic awareness warm-ups in our lessons will help readers identify initial sounds, identify final sounds, identify medial sounds, blend, segment, and manipulate. Okay. So here's excuse me, here's an example of a phonemic awareness warm-up activity in our teacher's guides. Oh, play.
Say chip.
Chip.
Change ch to sh.
Ship.
Good. Say ship.
Ship.
Change ip to op.
Shop.
Say shop.
Shop.
Change sh to ch.
Chop.
So next we'll take a look at the phonics work parts of the lesson. A phonics lesson needs to include both reading and spelling, and they should never be taught in the absence of the other, because when those connections are built super strongly, that's when the letters and patterns and sounds are stored in the visual word form area that allows for automaticity. In order for that to occur, you really have to be providing opportunities for both decoding and encoding in your lessons. Each lesson plan contains a review of the previous lesson. You never want to move on to a new set of skills without reviewing what's already been taught. We've included letter tiles and word cards featuring all words included in the word lists in the teacher's guides. It's really important that your scope and sequence and lessons are cumulative, and that the decodable text you're using also includes some of those skills you've already taught. When introducing a new concept, always model the concept being taught using multiple examples of words that fit the concept. Digraphs are represented with 2 letters on one tile to represent one sound. Letter tiles are used to show individual sounds. And we've also broken the letters up by color. Vowels are red and consonants are blue. We've also included 2 sets of letter tiles, larger tiles for teachers to use and smaller tiles for students. In the guided practice section, the teacher and student should complete these activities simultaneously. The teacher models the work while students practice using their own materials. Here we can see what guided practice looks like in this phoneme grapheme map activity.
Say chop.
Chop.
Tap it.
Chop.
Good. What's that first sound?
Ch.
What letters say ch?
CH.
Good. What's that next sound in chop? Good. What letter says ah?
O.
What's that final sound? P. What letter says p?
P.
Good job. What's that word?
Chop.
Good. Go ahead and zap it.
Chop.
Good.
Okay. Students should complete the extended practice tasks independently while the teacher circulates and listens to individual students. In this lesson, students are asked to review the word cards and read the whole word, only segmenting if they need to. Repeat as needed until students can read the words without segmenting. You can click through to the next one. There, okay. In the diction lesson, the teacher dictates the word or sentence and students repeat the word or sentence back. Students write the word or sentence on a piece of paper or a dry erase board. Here we see the sounds, words, and finally the sentence. Finally, each book in our Decodable series allows readers to apply their phonics knowledge in engaging and relatable texts. Students should be encouraged to reread the text multiple times to build fluency. If you want to learn more about our Decodable series, please head over to our website, norwoodhousepress.com/decodables, and you can download all of our free teacher's guides there, a scope and sequence document, and watch a video about the series starring our literacy consultant, Emily Nuds. If you have any questions that you would like answered, please feel free to email me at any time. I can give you access to those videos, the teaching videos, as well as some more. But thank you so much. It was so nice to speak with all of you today.
Thank you so much, Jocelyn, and a huge thank you to all of today's wonderful panelists. These were really informative presentations. Tomorrow, all attendees will receive an email containing links to today's video recording, slide presentation, title list, and a certificate of completion. For more about Booklist webinars, be sure to visit www.booklistonline.com/webinars, where you can view archives of past webinars and register for upcoming ones like those you see here. Staff training, in-services, local conference, Booklist can help. You can now request free copies of Booklist and Booklist Reader for upcoming staff training programs so you can help the next generation of library workers become readers advisory and collection development superstars. Scan the QR code on the screen, visit our website, or email info@booklistonline.com for details. Whether you are traveling overseas, across the country, or via armchair this summer, we have your next beach read. Subscribe now to get Booklist print and digital and print copies of Booklist and digital and shareable issues of our new patron-friendly product, Booklist Reader, for a special webinar price of $99. Thank you so much for joining today's webinar, and a huge thank you to our panelists and to our sponsors, Bearport Publishing and Jump Library, DK, Cherry Lake Publishing Group, and Norwood House, an imprint of Rosen Publishing. This concludes today's webinar. See you next time.